Welcome to People Unplugged, the podcast from the creative team at People Unboxed. I'm Westy, Digital Director at People Unboxed. This is the People Unplugged podcast. So welcome back to People Unplugged, welcome to the show. Today we're delighted to have another returning guest join us and also a very close member of our team. So welcome back to the show, Arlene Marsella, good to see you. Hopefully this show will be as popular as last time you were on. I don't know, you must have done some brilliant marketing on that. I would say though, last time was audio only and now we have video too. So I'm glad you've done your hair, I'm glad you're ready and all the rest of it, throw yourself in. So since we last spoke, which was, God blimey, it must have been way over a year ago, believe it or not, it's flown by. You've been actually making some time to do some training for yourself, which I'd really like to learn about, because let's face it, as L&D people, we never have time to do training for ourselves. So let's dig into that a little bit. So tell people what you've been up to and what we're going to chat about today.
Well, thanks for having me on again, Westy. Don't know how.
Always a pleasure.
I don't know if that was just you made those ratings up there, but I'm happy to be here and have a chat with you. So for me, I think now about 3.5 years I've been here with People Unboxed, and I thought I always want to do more. You know what it's like? You think, I could do something else. So decided that coaching was where the path that I wanted to take, basically. So I started doing my level 5 ILM certificate and diploma for being a coach practitioner, and then decided, I'll just add the EMCC accreditation onto that as well and add about 60 hours of coaching onto that. So for me, it's just about, I do coaching anyway, but it was just that validation that I'm actually doing it right and I know what I'm doing. So for me, it was more something for me, because I think, when you go?
No. Yeah. I mean, firstly, you've chucked out a load of acronyms there. ILM's Leadership Institute of Learning Management, right?
Yep.
So what was the other bit you added that you've bolted on? Is that some sort of accreditation? Do you have letters under your name?
I may have some letters after my name once I qualify. So that is just, so coaching isn't actually regulated, and not a lot of people know that. So you don't actually need any qualifications to be a coach.
So anyone can call themselves a coach?
Basically, yeah.
Does that not make it the Wild West?
Yes and no. For me, it's my integrity, it's me as a person. And for me, by doing it through EMCC, for me, it's all about how you conduct yourself. And if I'm a member of them that have a membership, then for me, I'm more likely to have a better coaching practice.
Fantastic. Okay, cool. So take us back a step. So how long was the course? How did you get into it? How much of your time did you have to give up? Because, I mean, I noticed you didn't go missing for 6 months because as far as I knew, you were doing this over and above everything else you did, which I know you were. So how long's the course? Are you done now, or is there more to come?
So I've been doing the course since February time. So February time kind of kicked off with lots of webinars, workshops. So I would do once a fortnight a workshop. And for me, that was probably one of the main reasons that I went with the supplier we went with Growth Solutions, because every other provider I looked at, you have a day and that's it. Then you're left to go on with it. So for me, we met every fortnight in a group. We then set up a community. So it felt like you had people there to reach out to, your tutor, plus people on the cohort as well. So for me, that really made a difference, and I need that kind of just being able to speak to other people that are doing the same thing and working full time at the same time.
And was that via Zoom or it was all virtual, I'm assuming?
All by Zoom, yeah. So
and was everyone UK based, Arlene, or
all UK? Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, all UK. So they finished up pretty much 2 months ago, and then in between time, I had to do my first assignment. So that was a 5,000 word essay on coaching and mentoring. So lots of questions in there. So past that, pleased to say. Yeah. So what I've been doing pretty much since then is my coaching hours. So I am up to about 40 hours coaching, and I need to do 60 all in. So I'll be finished all my coaching clients by October. And then it's basically doing a reflection journal, which I've been doing the whole way through. to reflect on where I started in my journey. So my growth, and that's the biggest piece of evidence that we need as well. So showing that I have changed, I've took feedback on board, and I'm looking at myself and getting feedback.
Keep your powder dry, because I've got some questions about that and why you've changed everything. So just very quickly before we move, because what you're describing here sounds to me like, and I don't know because I've never done it, you know, when someone learns to fly and they say, yeah, okay, I've been trained, but what I need to do now is X amount of hours alongside this person before I can then go solo. And what you're describing sounds very similar, which is you almost need to do a certain amount of hours of the practice of doing it before you can then go, right, okay, now... I say now you're accredited, but now you'd feel comfortable enough to do that. So sounds very much like that. I'm just, you know what I'm like, just picking up on the reflection journal. How are you doing that? Is that like a notebook? Is that how are you capturing that? Because I know you quite like your tech, and I know you very much use your Copilot and all the rest of it. So how what's that learning journal look like?
So I record myself on Word. So I have a Word document in date order. So when I do something or something happens, so whether I have a coaching call with a client, I've had a session where we get supervised as well. So as well as coaching other people, I have a coach. So I do one-on-one with my supervisor and they give me feedback. Plus we do group supervision as well. So it's taking moments after them to reflect. As well, I had to submit a recording of me doing a session and get feedback as well. So I've done that. So it's reflecting on everything that's happening and then what am I doing to change? How am I reflecting on what's happened? So for me, the quickest and easy way is voice note into Word.
Yep.
Then going back and tidying it up. But I use as well, so like you, I like my tech. So I have a Remarkable, which I like writing. So for me, I can write and I can share it and then I can take notes, I can go back to. But I found recording as soon as it happens is the best way. And then when something comes to mind, it's writing it in my Remarkable so that I don't forget to then put it in my journal.
That's awesome. That's cool. Well, firstly, from everyone here, huge congratulations on your coaching qualification. I mean, brilliant. And I had no doubt when you said you were going to do it that you were going to go through that with flying colours. But obviously I want to reflect a little bit about what you've learned along the way, if that's okay, and dig into that. So I've got a couple of questions for you, but let's just see where we go. So I guess the first one for me is, from your perspective, if you can think it back, and you probably can because you've recorded it and written it down, you've just said that, what was your absolute biggest aha moment, or what's the most impactful thing you learned during this course that you did?
I think for me it was when people turned around and said to me, how did you do that? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, for me, I think probably one of my strengths is creating that safe environment.
Yeah.
So I think I really value the people that have gave up their time to allow me to coach them as well, because I think it's building those relationships and them being themselves, but it's about them having the environment where they can explore their thoughts, they can speak very openly, I can ask them questions. But for me, I was very upfront that I would challenge them as well and push them outside their comfort zone and stretch them. And I think that's the one thing I've thought, oh, that's actually working when I've got my feedback kind of halfway through with a lot of my clients. So for me, it's the self-satisfaction of seeing the growth with the people I'm coaching. But then looking at myself as well. And
exactly that. So do you think that's easier? Let me rephrase that question, because I sort of stopped myself. Do you think you could coach someone you knew really well, or is it easier coaching someone you don't know?
It can go either way.
Okay.
You need to have good chemistry. So before I even decided on what clients I was going to have, we do what's called a chemistry session. So that is, how are we going to work? Do we have that relationship? Can we work together? Have they got an open mind? And are they ready to be coached as well? So for me, it depends on if that person's ready to be coached.
And do you need to train them to be ready to be coached? And what I mean by that is, do you need to have that conversation? Because I know obviously you and I work very closely together, and I know you like to achieve things, and you know, is there not the danger that you're trying to coach this person, and if they're not the right person for that, and they're not the right frame of mind for that, you're not actually going to change anything for them? And I can't imagine you loving that bit where you've done all that work and they just don't do anything with it. Is that why you need to make sure they're, like you say, they're ready to be coached in the first place?
Definitely. So there were a few people I turned down because I felt they needed more of a mentor than a coach. Some people I felt needed counselling rather than coaching. So you've got to be very honest with yourself. You can't blur the lines. I can mentor and coach. That's what I'm training to do, but I can't counsel someone. So it depends on what comes up during the sessions, and if I feel that they would benefit more from that counselling side, then I absolutely would be open and honest with them. And that's all part of that contracting piece as well.
Sure. And do you have you seen that, I guess, that blurred line? Because obviously, I say obviously, for people who don't know, so you're a mental health first aider and you do coaching, and the two things you just said there to me makes it sound like they're very separate roles, and they're obviously separate skills. But to me, if I sat down with a coach and all of a sudden we started going more into the actually you need counselling and help with this, how do you compartmentalise those things?
So for me, I've seen being a mental health trainer as a benefit, because sometimes it's just getting them in the right frame of mind. So a lot of people that I coach are busy. So it's about using the skills I've got to get them in the right frame of mind first of all, and practicing things like mindfulness, PQ reps, or just actually asking them how they are. Yeah. So I do some quite nice, I've got some really nice tools where I show them pictures. I think I've done this with you, Westy, where it's like, how do you feel today? The sheep, what sheep represents you? Yeah. So then I can get an idea of where their mood is as well, and how overwhelmed.
So reading the room really is what you're saying there, right?
Yeah, but I felt that's really benefited me. Plus, I'm just about to start my positive intelligence coaching course. So doing PQ reps, working in the saboteur. So I feel that really was going to work really nicely along that side. Because a lot of this that I see is self-confidence, maybe that imposter syndrome, and just that self-belief.
And that's the key with coaching, right? So coaching is designed to not give someone the answers, because we've covered this on previous pods, but you're trying to make people more confident and for them to give the answers that they've already got. I've really butchered that, and that's what you're sort of suggesting there, isn't it? Which is that you talked about those saboteurs. So for me, I know that I'm very much it's got to be perfect, or there's no point in starting it. Which can be a real issue with me, because I'm thinking, well, if I start this might be not nearly perfect, but you know what, it's not going to be exactly how I want, therefore I won't bother starting in the first place. So there's a sort of procrastination bit comes in there, and I'm a real stickler. So I know we've done sort of some of the PQ stuff before, and maybe we want to get into that in a minute, but do you find that you have to explain that to the people that you're coaching, or is that something that you have at the back of your mind that can then help them further down the line?
So that is a tool I potentially might use. I might ask them to go away and complete their saboteur assessment. It depends on what they say and how we work through. For me, it's when I need to do something to help them overcome those limiting beliefs and shift their perspectives, because everyone can reach their own full potential, but they need to realise. So for me, that's why I do it, because whether it's someone individual, whether it's a team, it's how I can help that person to reach where they want to reach, because it's limitless.
And how are you going to? I'm putting you on the spot now. Bear in mind we're recording. How do you think what you've been through and how and the training you've undertaken, how is that going to change how you approach helping people grow? Maybe here at People Unboxed, because you have people who report to you now, right? So you've got a team. You've got a fairly new team. Do they all need coaching? Are you already doing that? How's that going to work?
Well, I would say at times, even when we have conversations, I'm probably using coaching questions and coaching you, and you don't realise. Or maybe you do.
That's really harsh, because that's like talking to someone who's doing a degree in psychology. Because when they tell me that, all I ever hear is you are psychoanalyzing me, aren't you? But maybe they are. Maybe I don't
It's
know.
more, if I think about the point you made about your saboteurs, I know you, and I'd like to think that I know you really well. So it
Yes.
might just be that I'll ask questions just to get you to think for a moment, and you've not realised that we've actually done that because we're just having a conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do agree. To be a good leader, you need to be a good coach as well. So for me, it's invaluable skills because you want people to be able to feel empowered, do things themselves. Now, I'm not saying that I'll just do coaching because it depends on what the level is. I might need to do some training.
Mm.
I could do some coaching. I could do some mentoring, but I'll be able to flex between them all.
Well, let's pick up on that because that was one of my questions, and you sort of like preempted it, which is great. So, in your mind, what's the core difference between, say, you wearing your training hat and you wearing your coaching hat? And let's take as an example. I don't know. You've gone into a session with one of our clients. Let's say you've got 15 people in that room. I don't know. It's one of the colleges in Oxford or whatever it may be. I know you deliver to those guys. Are you wearing your training hat there and first off? Or are you wearing your training hat, but your coaching hat comes out when it needs to? So they're two different skills, right? So how do they sort of overlap?
I would say I'm probably facilitating more.
Okay,
Well,
so you've added a third hat. So take me through those three things then. So training hat, coaching hat, facilitation.
Yeah, so if I start with the training, it depends on their knowledge. So if it's a new manager and we're teaching them, for example, situational leadership, so we need to teach them the fundamentals. Then the conversation starting the facilitation comes with, right, we'll maybe do a scenario to check their knowledge and their understanding. But then by asking them the right questions, we know where they are and what they understand. But I think it's always potentially you're coaching because they may have already been doing it naturally, but without the theory. So it's, are they doing those behaviours?
Right. Okay. So when we talk to L&D teams and when L&D teams give sort of feedback on the pod and stuff, and they go, I love all this coaching stuff, I get it, but I don't really have time for that. And I just need my people to do what they want to do because, as in, coaching someone doesn't save you time initially, right? I think it's fair to say, in fact, coaching someone possibly takes you more time because you're there and you're trying to get them the answers out of them. You know, you mentioned the situational leadership thing there. The whole situational leadership thing starts with you being very directive. I'm the manager and I need you to do this. And I don't really want you to think about it. I just want you to get on and do it because in certain cases, that's what we need to do. So what's the biggest chance for people in L&D to sort of weave more of that coaching magic into what they do and get away from that very much, this is the way we work here, this is what I need you to do. So a very long-winded question, which basically says, how do people become more coach-like and less trainer-like? And is there a place for both?
There absolutely is, but I think just take the time to listen to understand what that person's actually saying to you.
And how do you do that, Arlene?
By then digging a bit deeper in terms of those questions.
I know you can't. I know you can't tell everyone on the call how to become a coach because we'll all just go. I'm just going to do what Arlene did, and I'm going to have those little letters after my name afterwards. But
self-confidence is the biggest thing that holds people back is having the confidence and believing they actually can do it. So if I just continue to give people information and give them lists and give them jobs and tell them what to do, how are they going to improve? How are they actually going to grow and believe they can grow? So you're capping people's ability, you're not empowering them, you're not letting them grow within the role. Yeah, it takes more time, but it's going to save you time in the long run.
Does that not worry you? Does that not worry you that potentially this person, what if they do an even better job than you? If you
something else, if they can do it better, then brilliant.
I'm playing devil's advocate because you know that there are people that will be thinking, actually, do you know what? I'd rather just do it myself. I'd rather just it's quicker and easier, and because to a certain extent, what we're talking about is this lovely world, this utopian idea of we can ask everyone how they want to be treated, and we can help them come up with their own answers. sometimes we just need people to get on and do it, right? So is there a time and a place for coaching, or is that just a lame excuse when we say I haven't got time or they won't do it in my way? Is that more about the person who's leading them rather than the person they're coaching?
It depends on the situation. I think it can be a bit of both. And I'm going to play devil's advocate now, because I think it does depend. If you're trying to coach someone and they don't want to be coached, you need to read the room, as you said. So again, is that person ready to be coached, or do they need to be directed? It just depends what stage that person's at as well, because you could be trying to coach someone who doesn't even know how to do the job yet.
And that's the wrong thing to do, is what you're saying. But because you can't coach someone who doesn't know.
Yeah, you're going to destroy their self-confidence because you're going to ask them these coaching questions and they're not going to know the answers. They need to have an element of ability as well, and knowledge, and be trained and know actually they've had a few times to actually practice it. Because if you just say to someone new, oh, I'm going to coach you, or start coaching them, then you do more damage than good.
So, excellent. So you, and I don't know if you have this example yet, and if not, maybe you might want to think hypothetically, or maybe you can't even say, because obviously you've got your confidences that you keep in the people that you're coaching, you're working with. But can you think of an example where the new skills you have has really helped you? So maybe that's a team that's, I don't know, struggling, and or maybe you've got a high performing person who you've identified as this person should be excellent, but you know what, they need a bit of a push. So how, based on what you've learned over the last since February time, whenever, when you started your course, how would you tackle that differently now compared with what you've done previously?
I would probably listen more to start with, and actually make sure the goals are actually their goals and not just what their boss wants them to do. So it's actually something they want to achieve and something they want to work on. Because what I find sometimes is, or what I have found really, is they've been very influenced by what their boss has said, rather than actually thinking about, for them, this is coaching for them, personally and professionally, and both mingle. I mean, you might say they're completely different things, but you can't get away from the fact that both will interfere at some point with each other.
So if I can pick up on a couple of things you just said there, just unpicking that a little bit. You've said there, you're coaching someone, you said, but they may be doing what their boss has said. So should you not be coaching their boss on how to manage them? In the examples where you're coaching people,
yeah.
I guess my question, Arlene, is, do you think they're at the right level, or do people bring in a coach to coach someone because that person's not working in the way they would like them to work? Well, actually, it's the person at the top who actually needs the coaching.
I think the problem is the person at the top.
So how do you manage that? It's like when we get brought in as an L&D team, isn't it? And it's like, can you train all my people because they're not doing the right thing? Okay, well, that's not my problem. Well, it kind of is, right? Because you haven't told them in the first place what you expect. Or
the hardest thing is well, they expect like a return on investment because they're paying for it. I mean, I'm not doing that just now because they're getting them for free. But that's what companies do. And coaching is something that's very hard to measure. There are things you can do, and that's like a whole different minefield that you would need a whole podcast to discuss that one. But for me, there are things you can do, but it is harder and it's more linear, and you see different results.
Let's just unpick that for a second, because I've for full disclosure, I've not with you, but I've worked with a coach for me in the past, like a business coach. And you're right. What you just said there, I think, is absolutely spot on, in that my company was paying for me to be coached by this person. This person was recommending all of the right things, I think, on reflection. But ultimately, the only person who was going to make a change and do something differently was me. So to a certain extent, it was down to me.
Yep.
If I choose not to follow that advice, I choose not to do that. You're absolutely right, because my poor coach, they did nothing wrong. But ultimately, the business is saying, well, I've paid this money out for this person and nothing's really changed. But that's through no fault of what they're doing. So how do you how do you check and balance that for yourself? How do you keep that confidence that what you're doing is the right thing, and ultimately, I guess, dare I say, you have no control over whether they sort of do that or not.
Yeah. So that's where it go back to the very beginning. Before I even take on someone as a client, I would have what's called a 3-way contracting conversation. So I would have it with their boss first of all, in terms of, right, what do you see? What kind of things are you looking to get from this? But ultimately, my responsibility lies with the coachee. I would never discuss anything that takes place in those coaching sessions with their boss. It's up to them to share what they want to share, and they don't have to. But they're agreeing for a reason. Now, some people see it as a performance management thing, which is just the wrong message, because that's their job to performance manage. That's not my job. And a lot of companies maybe use it as that sort of tool. So it's more about then, what does the coachee want from it? What's the reason they want the coaching? Because if they're not bought in, then that's when, and don't get me wrong, I see that as a challenge, maybe. Because if someone's, it's getting them to open up, show their vulnerability, and trust me.
See, I think that's fascinating what you just said there, which is someone identifies let's say a performance issue, and then tells that person, I found you a coach, because that's going to help you do this, and this. So there's so many layers there. One, are they the right thing for person? Are you the right coach for them?
Yeah.
Two, is the performance issue due to the fact that the person who's holding the review, if you like, or decided this person needs a coach, they haven't actually trained this person in the first place anyway, and ultimately they're trying to look for another reason why they're not doing it properly. And three, does this person even want to do that and build it? So it must be an absolute blooming minefield. So going back to what you said about that whole idea of that I think you called it a chemistry call.
Yeah.
What things are you looking for there? Are you looking for, imagine it was you and I doing it. Are you looking for me to open up? Are you looking for me to share my deepest, darkest secrets? Are you looking for me to say, oh, I never got on with my mother? I don't know. How does that work?
For me, it's about connections. Can we make a connection, first of all? And it's me being emotionally aware that I am creating that supportive environment where you can just be open and honest, really, and be your true self. And for me, it's me establishing whether it is a coach you need, a mentor, or if it's advice you're looking for, then it may be you need to go back and do some training. And I would not take on someone who I didn't feel was ready to be coached, and also explaining what coaching actually is. So the difference between the coaching, the mentoring, and the training piece. Because a lot of the time,
can you cover that? Can you cover that now? Sorry, and just really quickly, because we're talking assuming everyone understands the difference between those, and a lot of people on here will do. I get that.
Yeah.
So let's start with training then, because I'm a trainer, right? Or in theory, we're a training company and we all train people. So what are people? Take me through the three different things then: coach, training, and mentor.
So if we think about training, first of all, that might be we're doing traditional classroom, we might be doing online. So for me, if we even think about a blended learning approach, so that 70% should be learning in the role. So I'm training you for what you need to do. You get the time to practice, which will then make you trained because you're allowing that time. The 20% is then I'm going to learn from other people. So it might be I work alongside someone. They help me when I first start. They maybe call them a mentor, but that's not actually what they are. They're maybe a training buddy, and that's where the lines get blurred again.
Yeah.
So for me, the 10% then is maybe attending a course or doing some online learning. So I could go in, I could do the training within the classroom environment, or they could get training throughout their career, depending on what it is. So it's a new system.
Yep.
If we think about mentoring, then one person will be really highly experienced. They'll use their knowledge and expertise to support the progress of the other person. Now, the caveat to that is you have to be confident enough that you're going to push back. So you could mentor me because you know I would push back if I didn't agree with you.
Yeah.
So as long as they do, and that's the key difference between coaching, because when you coach someone, they're not confident. And that's what you want to build. Now, that's where I could do some mentoring because of my experience and my leadership background, been in leadership for many years. So that's where, and I would never just say, oh, can I give you some advice? I would always ask permission first, because we're there. They need to understand, is it coaching I'm getting or is it mentoring? Consulting, something completely different. So that's where we're looking for external experts maybe coming in terms of looking for those business solutions. And the consultant will help someone be an expert. The counselling, we need to explain that, because things might come out in terms of their past during some of these sessions. And they have. Most of my clients already have counsellors and are actively going to seek counselling.
So and can they happen at the same time, Arlene? So for example, can they be going through counselling and they still come for coaching? So it's not like you need to go and have the counselling first, get yourself sorted out or solve this problem, and then we can come back to coaching. So they can coexist.
And they share, so they've shared with me, I've spoke to my counsellor, I've told my counsellor I'm doing coaching, and they think it's great. So it's not blurring those lines. Is this maybe something you want to talk about with your counsellor?
Okay, and obviously with our background of working for large corporate companies back in the day, and we work for a small corporate company now, but though, do you believe they can have internal coaches for people that they know, or do you think there's a real benefit to bringing in external people for that?
I think either can work. I don't think it matters whether they're external or internal. It just has to be someone who's going to be able to partner and really get them to really think. So really thought-provoking, go through that whole process where you're maximising their personal and professional potential. So for me, it's being able to actively listen, asking those insightful questions, observing, giving them feedback, pushing them outside their comfort zone, and maybe using some tools to help as well. And it could be for their performance goals. So that coach might know that business very well, so they can flip between that mentoring and that coaching. So I do believe both have benefits. It's just finding the right one for that coachee.
Okay, I've got two more questions for you. So number one, is there anything, did you have any preconceived ideas of what you were, when you started coaching, what you thought it was going to be like? I guess, is there any sort of common myth about coaching that this course has completely blown out of the water and going, actually, you know what, I always thought coaching was this, this and this, or I always thought I'd achieve this, and actually none of that's true?
Well, I have been doing coaching all my career. So for me, I did that throughout my whole career. Plus, I have been coaching clients. So as part of cohorts, I do coaching, one-on-one coaching anyway.
So I'm going to have to stop you, because I'm going to pick up on that. Had you really been doing coaching throughout your whole career, or had you been doing something you thought was coaching and now it's something different? Oh, brilliant. Okay.
It's affirmed, for me, it's that affirmation that I'm doing it right.
Okay.
But I'm still learning, because we can always improve. And that's the key thing. Even when I qualify, I still need to do more CDP practice. I still need to keep my skills, right? What can I do next, right? How can I keep learning and reflecting and evolving? So for me, that was a natural moving to that PQ coach, because that was a natural progression, because that's something I'm passionate about. I love all that. So for me, it just I can use that within my practice and be qualified to use that within my practice. Rather than
when you said you've been coaching your whole career, who taught you how to do that then? Because you haven't done a course.
No, I think I don't know if it's instincts, or it depends on the people you work with. You're influenced with the people you work with. And I think you know the good bosses are the good leaders, the bad leaders. And you pick up skills from different people. You learn what to do, what not to do.
And final question. How can we here at People Unboxed help you with your coaching? And can you see internal coaching taking off here, for example? What sort of what sort of support, what sort of resources do you think we need to provide you with to get the most out of what you can offer?
Oh, there's loads to come. I've got lots of ideas, Westy, and I've already spoke to Tony about these. So for me, it's just, we can really enhance the offering we have internally and externally. And I think by doing coaching supervision internally, because some people are already qualified as coaches, so I think it's that alignment piece for me, that we're all aligned in terms of those values, and the professional behaviours that a coach should have.
So we offer coaching, and obviously we've got people like yourself, which is brilliant, because it's another little string to our bow, if you like. But it's fair to say people still see it as, I've done my training now, and they see that coaching as a nice little kind of add-on, or they'll do the coaching for people that have maybe got a bit of an issue. And I think there is that mixing up of counselling versus coaching versus performance management and all the rest of it. So if you were to distill that down and say, I really recommend you do the coaching course post-course, what's that going to bring? Why would people do that?
Because it's the opportunity not to speak in a group setting. It's an opportunity to actually have a one-on-one coaching session with me, and that people think, oh, how long do you need? And I could do a coaching session in 10 minutes, depends on the person. I could do half an hour, I do an hour and a half. There's no right or wrong answer. But for me, it gives them that space to actually be themselves and actually be vulnerable and open. And build
how does that help embed the training that we've given?
Because we're doing that piece for that self-discovery piece. Have they actually understood it? Did they actually take it in? And a lot of times it's in there, but they just need someone to pull it out. Brilliant.
Love that. Arlene, if people want to continue the conversation, which I can't believe they're not going to, because last time we were on, I can't remember what we spoke about, but I think it was just you starting with us, and then all of a sudden we had like dozens of people talking about this on LinkedIn, which is great. Where's the best place to contact you? Or if people wanted to, if they're concerned about where to get started, dipping their toe into some of the coaching stuff, how should people contact you?
For my email or LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn, and you've got my email, which I'm sure you'll pop on for them, Westy, as well.
I'll pop that in the show notes. That's brilliant. Thanks again for your time, Arlene. Lovely to chat, and I'll catch you shortly.
Thanks, Westy. Bye.
Thanks for joining us today. Feeling curious to learn more about how we help people remember stuff? Well, why not sign up for a free trial of our AI-powered bite-sized learning app, BentoBot? You can do that easily at bentobot.com. And you can catch up on interviews with all of our previous guests by subscribing to this pod via Apple Podcasts or any podcast platform. Till next time, take care.